Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Shout out to the 19 Cousins folks. We've got our Indiana Fever post-game video, which I almost didn't do tonight because I was thoroughly disgusted with this game. And I figured, from what I've seen on Twitter, there's some of you out there that might not be in the mental state to handle some truths and criticisms about this team because that was just ugly all the way around. That's now two recent games that have been absolutely terrible against two viable playoff opponents that they're going to have to beat if they want to make a run in the playoffs, whether it be the Minnesota Lynx or the Las Vegas Aces, and that is very concerning. Even though it was close at times, it just felt like they were never really into this game. And I mean, it could have been a lot worse. It really could have been a lot worse. And what I mean by that is just this specifically. If we look at A'ja Wilson, now, if I'm just looking at the stat line and I didn't watch the game, this looks like really good defense on A'ja Wilson. And I know you're saying, well, she had 27 points. Yeah, but she took 28 shots. Okay, she averages, I might be slightly off. I don't think it changes a lot game to game because I don't think I included the last game that they played when I figured this out. She averages like 1.46 points, almost 1.5 points per shot taken. So to get less than a point per shot, that's a big deal. Like, you should be really thrilled with that. And they still lost. So we can't even put this on A'ja Wilson had a monster MVP night, because scoring less than a point per shot is a seriously off night for A'ja Wilson. Now, the thing I will say to that, the caveat is, unfortunately, it wasn't really the Fever defense that did it. If you watch the game, I think A'ja Wilson missed more gimme layups tonight than all those ones combined early in the season that we talked about with the Indiana Fever. I mean, really, it was ridiculous. Now, obviously, she scored some inside, but most of her buckets, especially early, I think she had their first 8 points. They were all jump shots from the foul line, wide open jump shots. We'll take a look. I did find one of them. We'll take a look at, so I give you an idea of what I think is a problem with that. But yeah, I mean, but if you look at the box score, you can't say A'ja Wilson had a monster night, because that you should be okay with giving up 27 points to A'ja Wilson if she takes 28 shots to get it. Now, the flip side of that, of course, is Caitlin Clark didn't exactly step up and take advantage of A'ja Wilson's 11 for 28 night and having an off game. I cannot remember, outside of that tough start for the whole team where you had the ridiculous schedule and the level of competition they were playing and the Fever getting to know each other and, the dropped passes and all that, I don't remember, outside of that initial stretch, a game this bad from Caitlin Clark. Bad turnovers, bad defense, bad shooting, too much complaining. I mean, not trying to be harsh. I know a lot of people, because we take so much, Fever fans take so much from people that just can't stand Caitlin Clark, that it gets touchy when you try and be objective with your criticism. And look, players have off games, but it's concerning now with the Lynx and then this performance against the Fever. I mean, 6 of 22, 1 for 10 from 3. And by the way, with the exception of maybe one, the threes were way off. Even when she was really open, she only had 3 rebounds, only 6 assists, and 5 turnovers. 16 points on 22 shots is not good. Now, that being said, the bright spots were, Boston was, well, It's tough to say, and I'll show you again why when I show this clip of Asia. I think Boston was solid defensively. I think some of the buckets on from Wilson were really bad team defense scheming by Christie sides. Huge problem with that by Christie sides. And one of the reasons Boston was 3 of 10 is because we're trying to get paints, touches, and back and posts with back to basket going up against Asia Wilson, and you're not going to do that. You're not going to do that against Asia Wilson. I mean, you got this, and this is, folks, this is not a knock on Boston when I show this. This is just the way it is against a player who I believe has been Defensive Player of the Year twice, if I'm not mistaken, and is in the running again this year, legitimately. Right? But she's not going to back down Asia Wilson and not make a move and just turn to the basket. There was a jump ball on that first one, if you're wondering. That's that bad. I mean, that's a good reaction and follow by Aaliyah Boston, but that's not what's going to get it done. If you get Boston the ball in transition and get her facing up with a little space as she's coming into the lane, I believe she can take Asia Wilson off the dribble and get stuff done. But it's not going to get done like this, folks. It's just not going to happen. And early, they jumped out to what, a 7-0 lead, I believe, and those early points were transition points. And then they stopped. Then they went to their boring, predictable, terrible half court set, and they started pounding it into the paint, and they couldn't get open looks. You can't do that with the Fever against anyone. They still have enough talent. They're going to beat teams below them, but it's going to be more of a struggle than it should. But you can't do that with a team, especially against a good interior defense anchored by Asia Wilson. I mean, what the hell? That is absolutely ridiculous. Now, if we take a look at this, this is when it was 2-0, and they go up 5-0 here. Pay attention to this. This is Watch this play. This is part transition. Boom. Rebound. Clark. They're moving. Now, look. It's an easy rebound because the Aces want to get back to stop the fast break, right? Congratulations. They basically do it. However, even if you're not full throttle, full court, if you just push the pace a little bit as the Fever, you get open looks early in the shot clock instead of the half court, which is certainly not to your advantage. So we get it to Clark, we push the pace, and boom, it's one pass. They got to worry about who has who, and Lexi Hull, wide open three. And we'll go back a little bit. I want you to pay attention to the two players. One of them decides she's got to get Clark, right? You've got to stop the ball. That's not going to be Asia Wilson, who's also over there. But the problem is you can't have Asia Wilson. She's not going to be able to reverse course and react enough to quickly get to Lexi Hull in the corner. By pushing the pace a little bit, you get the matchups that you want because defenses have to match up to the closest player when you're in transition. They don't have time to find who they should guard. So boom, stops the ball, but Wilson can't get to Hull. Chelsea Gray coming out from under the basket can't get the Hull, and you get an easy look. And there was not enough of that tonight. Now, look, Mitchell was really, really good tonight. Mitchell was a saving grace. Two things kept this from being a blowout for the most part. If I had to narrow it down to two, there were a couple other bright spots. Mitchell and Asia Wilson missing layups. I mean, I think Asia Wilson missed 5 or 6 layups. And she's what, 6'5"? I mean, she's not far from the basket. I was shocked at what I was seeing. But also, by the way, shout out, she only played 24 minutes. I think she could have actually played more tonight. Shout out to Melissa Smith, who I thought was very solid tonight. She was active on the glass. She had some big buckets. I mean, she only took 6 shots, but she had some big buckets. She had a great reverse layup, taking Asia Wilson off the dribble. I think she had another one on an offensive rebound. So props to her. I believe she was actually the only player on the team that was in the plus category of plus minus tonight at a +2. Lexi Hull was very good. But again, guess what happens? when you're not running, you're not getting out in transition like that bucket we saw by Lexi Hull early in the game. Lexi Hull doesn't get a lot of shots. She doesn't get a lot of open looks. In fact, she created some of her own. I like that. She had 2 or 3 times where she drove into the lane to get a shot because she wasn't getting open threes because they were doing this half court bull crap. It was awful. And Temi Dantas only played 4 minutes, so I can't even judge her. Temi Fag-Benley, I love Temi, but she was terrible tonight. But that's what you got, unfortunately, from this team tonight. Now, um, this is the only three that Caitlin Clark made tonight, and it's a nice three. Like, right, she should be able to get more open looks on her own because she can do things like that. Because here's the thing. Now, to be fair, I don't think Chelsea Gray guarded her very much tonight, and she can't. I mean, look, I get the Achilles injury, and that's what I'm saying. Chelsea Gray is not Chelsea Gray this year. She is way too slow to guard Caitlin Clark. Unfortunately, Caitlin Clark couldn't capitalize on it very often when she was guarded by Chelsea Gray. And then we have this pretty much like almost the only other positive play by Caitlin Clark tonight. Again, showing she can get to the bucket on her own. And what you got there, thankfully, is Asia Will. I'm sorry, that wasn't Asia Wilson. Is that Clark? I'm not sure. But you had her stepping out kind of in no man's land. She wanted to creep up to take away that three, but that left her out on an island where there was enough space for Clark to go by her and get to the bucket. But that was one of the few times that they did that, and the rotation was too slow. If you notice, Clark actually got in that area a lot, but very rarely got a shot because the Aces rotated well enough to prevent the shot from Clark, and they didn't allow kickouts for wide open threes. But the Aces got that on the flip side against the Indiana Fever, which goes to coaching schemes. Coaching schemes. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Look, the only time that they played any extended time of up tempo was in the third, where they briefly got back into the game. It's the only quarter that they won. They won at 25-23. And it was the only quarter where they scored over 18 points. But other than the third quarter, again, because they got behind, right? See how they that's why you see so many times this team gets behind and then crawls back into it. It's because they get behind playing this stupid half court offense. And then because they're behind double digits, they have to pick up the pace to try and get back in the game. And then they do, and then they go back to the half court offense. And it depends on when the game ends as to whether they are in a position where they've been running and they win, or the game goes long enough that they've gotten back into it. Now they go back to half court and they absolutely ridiculous. Look, their defense was terrible. Just as I was just talking about, perimeter players were getting beaten way too easily off the dribble by the Las Vegas Aces, who were then kicking out for wide open threes. As I just mentioned, when Fever guards penetrated, they didn't have those easy kickouts. The Aces covered those easy kickouts. And then let me see if I have this next one right. Yeah, I want to show this because this, especially early, which was when Asia did get a chunk of points early, this was way, way too easy. This isn't the best angle, so I'll probably play it in slow motion. But watch how this defense makes no sense. Watch how easy Asia Wilson, and this happened, I think, like maybe 4 or 5 times in the first quarter alone. Asia Wilson gets wide open. Look, she kicks it over. Now Boston, I don't even know why Boston is coming from where she was coming from to step out if she's guarding Asia Wilson. And now Lexi Hull has left Asia Wilson to come over and get the ball, even though Boston is there. in a position where there's no way Boston is going to get back to Asia Wilson. And what do? Well, let me just throw it back to Asia Wilson. Look at that. I mean, and you expect Kelsey Mitchell to come over all the way from the wing to contest 5'8"? Kelsey Mitchell is supposed to come all the way over from the backside corner to get a hand and contest the Asia Wilson jump shot from the foul line that is wide open. That is the most insanely easy shot attempt I've ever seen with what the defense is doing. And I'm going to run this one more time and just let it run, let you see it uh, a little bit in slow motion as to how ridiculously easy this is. Did I do that right? Okay, I did. All right, so Asia has it there, or Asia gets it there. I don't understand why Lexi Hall is on her like that to begin with, and Boston is standing right next to Caitlin Clark. So it goes over. Now, Lexi got her hand on that. She chases the ball. Boston's there, has her straight up. I mean, that is awful, awful, awful team defense. And it clearly was a scheme because it happened multiple times. They got back in the game from that shot. I think Asia Wilson hit what? I Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but she had like their first 6 or 8 points for the Aces. And she did it all with jumpers from that spot, which is absolutely absurd. I don't understand how we allow Asia Wilson to get shots wide open from that spot so easily. Now, look, there's no doubt that the officiating was terrible. Oh, I know this is going to hurt, but when I first saw this, I thought I was seeing where she was from. Like, wait, she only made the 1-3. But, folks, unfortunately, this right here was pretty much how her shots went. I mean, that's a wide open. That's a great look. That is a great look for Caitlin Clark, and she hit nothing. But look, there's no doubt that the officiating was terrible. Okay, for example, we have this. This is a foul called on Aaliyah Boston. There's
I don't
no,
know where
I
the
mean,
foul was.
she's not even bodying her up. Asia Wilson is literally shooting a fadeaway. There is separation between her and Aaliyah Boston, and that foul is called. And again, I'm pointing this out not to say, oh, this is why the Fever lost, because it's not. But this stuff has to keep being called out because at some point the WNBA has to be better with this if they really want to establish themselves and grow as a league. And here's another example. This is an absurd call against Caitlin Clark as an offensive foul. Now, this angle isn't the best, but I mean, you, it, that's ridiculous by Chelsea Gray, obviously, but you can see it from here that she doesn't get hit in the face. That's just a little bump, and that is a terrible call. And that was right, I think, after the terrible call, Chelsea Gray down the other end, where she jumps into Boston and then makes a bucket, and they call a foul on Boston, actually uphold the call on the video review because it was challenged, and it is. I'm sorry I couldn't find it, but it is textbook not a foul. Like if you were like, here's the rule: offensive players can't initiate contact by jumping into the defender. This play could be put in the training for the officials, and yet even on video review, they get it completely wrong. Now, with that three I showed you by Caitlin Clark, I couldn't find it, but when they were still in this game with a minute 15 left. They were down 7. Caitlin Clark had the most wide open three I have ever seen. And correct me if I'm wrong, because now I'm trying to think from memory. I didn't write in my notes who it was, but I think it was an offensive rebound. I think it was either Fag Bentley or Melissa Smith, and there was a scramble, and she kicked it back out to Clark. Again, the most wide open I've ever seen her. She had a three that would have cut it to 4 with a minute 15 left. She was wide open, and she barely caught the front of the rim. and I know a lot of people want to rationalize it because they were like, Christie Wallace is playing. Folks, she played 3 minutes. She played 3 minutes. Was she good? No. But again, when's the last time she even played besides that one game in garbage time? I am not going to give Christie Wallace problems with this. And again, they should have gotten blown out if Asia Wilson could have made a layup tonight. But wow, I don't have much else to say. I hope people I know like the huge Caitlin Clark fans don't take it the wrong way. I'm just pointing out what I saw tonight. It did not look good. Hopefully, it's just. I mean, all you can do, as a fan, is chalk it up to one of those nights. Players have off nights, and you just cross your fingers. The concern again with me isn't so much Caitlin Clark shot 6 of 22 and 1 of 10 from three. It is the intensity and emotion with which the Fever did not play. And again, the schemes. If they are not going to beat the better teams with this crap that Christie Sides is trying to get them to do, that goes back to the beginning of the season. Christie Sides got Coach of the Month because she rode how the Fever were playing Caitlin Clark style, and she's reverted back to her ridiculously stupid and outdated ways that play the game for which she does not have the personnel to make it work. I'm going to show you one more thing because I like this. There was a tie up for a jump ball, and Kelsey Mitchell, because I think she was fouled first, but Kelsey Mitchell's having some words with Kelsey Plum, which I love because yeah, one, I'm not a Plum fan. Two, I am a Mitchell fan. But that is basically the only fire, and she's still John, and I love it. That's basically the only fire, and she's John within two players. Great. I wish we had that fire from the rest of the team tonight because I didn't see it. Again, I'm hoping I'm chalking it up to one. It's just one of those nights where they were flat and just it wasn't their night. But again, they just had one of those games against the Lynx, two teams ahead of them. I'm going to leave it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know about the offense they were running, the way some of the players were playing, the vibe that you got. Does it matter going forward? Big key. They play this exact same team again on Friday, the 13th. So if we see the same thing, then we're really going to have some things to be concerned about. If they bounce back, we can forget about this game. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. I really do appreciate it. And I will talk to you later.